What do we watching?
We got approval, I just don't have one down. I got it. I can call it. So much for the group, I like it. Oh, trustee Spears,
Kate?
why'd you bring so much for the group, or we just go, I'm gonna take our head off? I have to.
It's fine.
I just get mad when they change the color. They change the word.
Yes.
And they'll be like, oh, so we were like like a cream color, it used to be called different color. No, but it was supposed to be 41. It's like bad shit, like bad shit for bad. I went to order it, and it came like this color, and it's supposed to be 3 shades darker. I go, what's this? They go, change that same color coyote. I go, you do not. You do not change color in the color wheel. I said, clearly you're looking at that. And the guy, they're probably that's like changing their color. Not too bad.
Not that I don't know about that, but I'll take your word for both.
I told, I go, it's been battle brown for 10 years.
I just changed it.
Well, then I get to send them back.
Do you have to pay for it yourself or is it?
No, especially.
Oh.
Most of all our stuff, yeah, we got, they give you.
Okay. Seriously? You know what? Let me go to Banana Republic for you. Oh,
You can watch these things, so let's say.
really?
Yeah, you don't, they don't wear a lot, you just outgrow them. Some people get.
Don't know anything about that.
When guys retire, it's kind of interesting. I'm like, wow, this is like a wardrobe.
Okay.
We have any public comments on those? Motion to adopt and approve Northfield Township 2026-2027 fiscal year combined budget and appropriation ordinance for the special police district fund.
Supervisor Wilson-Zetton.
Yes.
Do you need to do that?
Yeah, do we need a second? Sure. Yeah. I made the motion.
Second.
Supervisor Wilson-Zetton.
Yes.
Trustee Ottenhouse.
Yes.
Trustee Pace.
Yes.
Trustee Shack.
Yes.
Trustee Spears.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion to elect to open public forum on the Northfield Township Road District 2026-2027 fiscal year combined budget and appropriation ordinance for the general road fund and permanent road fund.
Motion.
Second.
Are there any public comments on those?
I have questions, so you'll take some knowledge right away, so after you all speak.
Look, this is the public comment period, so you may.
So
Please
just,
go ahead. And if you don't mind, give your name and your address.
Mary Latage, excuse me, 1319 Fangston Road, Unview 60025. I'm not great at reading budgets, okay? My first question relates to what was in the road district annual report from, when was it, April? And what's in the budget for, education center? I don't see that unless it's in different categories that I just don't understand. Is that in the budget still?
Am I permitted to answer?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, because I didn't see something like EV readiness center. I saw 4 EV charging stations. But the line item from the draft budget for vehicles is no longer there. So I thought to myself, well, there's 4 EV charging stations, but no electric vehicles. But the other part was, where does the center fit into that? And where would I find those line items?
So this is a little bit of a truing up of the annual report and the budget going forward. So the annual report looks backwards. Budget looks forward at broad strokes. And when I was reconciling the budget, the IEPA, who is the one that is granting the $2 million or so grant for the 5 electric vehicles. The earliest we can take delivery of vehicles is 2027, late 2027, probably 2028. So when Kenworth and Peterbilt informed me of that, I needed to shift money from forward to the next budget. I could not recognize the grant income potentially this year. What I did recognize this year was the EV charging stations, which we can and should be able to do this year. Those are available on the open market. So the EV Center of Excellence is still a core part of the mission going forward.
And so is IEPA deferring the cost of the charging stations?
They are paying 75% of the cost of the vehicles and the charging stations to the tune of a little more than $2 million. And ComEd has offered to pay the remaining 25% through a variety of grants and other methodologies.
So does it make sense if you might not take delivery of vehicles until 2028? Does it make sense, given the evolving technology with charging stations, to install them in this fiscal year rather than waiting a year, or when you know you're actually going to take delivery?
It's a good question. We may consider that. I would say that UL, who has a big stake in this, and they're our neighbor across the Finchley Road, has shared with me that the current level 2 and level 3 DCFC technology that they are installing in their campus is expected to be compatible for a decade plus. So I'm working with a variety of partners, including the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, UL, IEPA, IPSTA, and others on this concept, and plan to leverage all of their knowledge to develop this concept.
So the other aspects of the Center for Excellence, are they in other categories then? And then it just doesn't say Center of Excellence?
So this year, this budget, which is my first full budget as highway commissioner, really is focused on two things. One is deploying assets to our road base.
Sorry, this is your second full budget.
Right, but I didn't take office till May 19th.
For the budget, you passed that budget.
So May 19th, I had no control over that. Until May 18th, I had no control over the spend.
Budget's retroactive.
Yeah.
Appropriation.
Right, I had no input into it, is my point. From April 1st to May 18th.
That
Whatever
was,
was spent,
that was
I
the
did not
budget
have
that
that.
you drafted.
That was the budget, that you had total control.
Okay.
Because it was, yeah. That was your budget.
In any case.
Sorry.
It's my first full fiscal year budget. I think we could say it that way.
The-
Um,
Sorry, that's not the case. I just need to clarify this right.
My first full fiscal year. So the IEPA coming in and providing their services and ComEd coming in and providing advice on a couple of different aspects of this. One, we intend to add solar to the roof, as an example. We're working with a variety of entities to evaluate solar, including ComEd, to add a component to our roof. However, our current roof cannot, in fact, our current roof is far beyond end of life and needs to be replaced. So this year, we're going to focus on getting that replaced. We're also focused on trying to lock down the 30% incentive that the federal government has for solar installations right now to defray those costs, maybe as much as 40 or 50%. So there are a lot of cascading effects here, but we are taking a lot of partners. And right now, the intent is to move forward with, I'm calling it the EV Center of Excellence.
Okay, and again, I apologize because these are questions I had from the town meeting. And so I'm just trying to reconcile what was said in the two documents. When I looked at the inventory, I didn't see the piece of equipment that Tim Rukert had bought when he listed the inventory, the piece of equipment that is the bale, that is baling the plastic.
It's the same baler as bales the cardboard. You wouldn't see it twice.
Ah, okay. All right. Oh, I may have more.
But it'll take us about 10 years to get enough to bale.
Right. Yeah, tell me that. Okay. Well, I guess those were most of my questions. I think those were most of my questions, but I can always call you separately. Okay, thank you.
Please introduce yourself and your address.
My name's Debbie Curtin, and my address 2504 Bethlehem Street in Farmview. I actions for the
The way I believe that the law has been observed in Illinois, we would not be when all of whom have pressures on them to, especially on the trustees, as you would know, to go green. Whereas the public works with EVs. Now, those tools exist in Lake Tahoe, that's and San Francisco area. but they don't really exist in the Midwest yet. So these are tools that we're building now. And I have commitments from Peterbilt and Monroe, who's an upfitter, and several other entities to help us on this journey to add these vehicles to our fleet. Now, the other thing with that is, right now, our vehicles are very heavy diesel emitters from 2003, 4, 5. They are way beyond end of life. And get those out to other municipalities during the summer months. Our trucks, when we use them about 20 times a year, really only in winter. So I'd like to be able to help other municipalities in the area bridge into EV technology, get comfortable with it, understand it, learn it, short of going to a dealership and every one of these municipalities having to go to Peterbilt or Kenworth dealership. We could bring them to us. We have the space for classrooms, we have the space for office space, and we have a 15,000 square foot garage that can support the effort, not to mention a 50,000 square foot pad that can support the effort.
So one of my concerns, being, as you said, very familiar with intergovernmental agreements, is this road district has never really, from what my understanding is, played that kind of a leadership role. Whereas government and municipalities talk to each other all the time. So you're spending a lot of money on this, and don't get me wrong, I think all the municipalities in the township should be doing this. But before it's spent or allocated, have you done any outreach? Or is this, I mean, it sounds almost like that, if you build it, they will come type of thing.
I have reached out to a number of municipalities in the area, many of which have expressed an interest, and I was hoping, once we got past this, maybe in June, July, to create a working group with public works directors in the area. As you know, probably know, most of the communities in Chicagoland are members of the Green Caucus, the Green Compact. My sense is from the meetings that I've attended in other places, in other forums, they are anxious to find a way to push forward. And I see this vision as a way to potentially push forward. Now, so that's a good question. Now, here's the thing, and here's what I talk to people about quite a lot, especially public works and others. Again, you have this tension between the village trustees, as an example, where voters are saying, I want green, I want green, I want green, I want EVs, I want to get out of the oil business. You have public works directors and their team members are saying, I need torque for snow plows, I don't care about green. So how do we marry that up? If we can develop an EV center of excellence, can we pull 5 years off of that planning cycle? Because right now I don't see these municipalities getting into EVs in my mind for at least 15 years. But what if we can make it 10 by partnering with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, with the Green Compact, with a number of the other partners? We have a very robust green focused community, more than any other in the United States, which is part of the reason why I'm focused on this so much. And by the way, in terms of spending, the spending that's happening in 26 and 27 would have to happen without regard to the Center of Excellence. We need a new roof. We need new siding. We need new lighting. We need to be safe. We need a new burglar alarm, fire alarm. There's a triple basin. There's a number of tools and activities that are happening this year, meaning this fiscal year, that will accrue directly to the facility that have long been needed. And you may recall, I know the board would recall, I initiated a comprehensive Chicagoland building inspection report, 77 or 78 pages, with all of these deficiencies listed. And we're now starting to chip away at them now that I'm a year into role. And see what our revenues are looking like out in the out years. So I took the first year to kind of reset, see where things landed, understand our monthly cadence of bills, and now we're starting to build capacity, be able to do more with less money.
And then what about adding, it's my understanding, and I only did this because I also am looking into the red solar road, is that adding solar panels invalidates the warranty of the roof. So by not doing it at the same time, that actually could be a problem when the roof, has to last 20 to 30 years.
We're actually working with a company called National Roofing Partners. And they are building a program and a plan to integrate both. So whatever we do with the roof will be upgradable for solar, either now or in the future.
Without an elevator board.
Correct. They will be totally integrated.
Okay, and I apologize because I thought I'd get copies of budgets and things out there too. So I guess my question is, by authorizing the budget, is it similar to a municipality where it's in the budget and therefore you have the right to spend it, or do purchase orders have to come back before the board to approve?
I think I'll let council answer that one.
One more time.
Ask it again, Debbie. I just want to make sure we're crystal clear.
So it's my understanding that if the budget is approved with a line item and you spend it within that line item, the overseeing body has to basically approve it because it's been approved. And then take a breath and do some more, be more efficient.
Here's why, if I understand the question correctly, it's about if the budget is approved, correct?
Does that authorize the money being spent in that line item?
So long as it's spent within the bounds of the law, right? So it has to be spent for a proper purpose, right? And I mean, that can't be fraudulent, like it can't be
The line item purpose?
the line item purpose, correct? Yeah, I mean, essentially the distinction, I think what you're getting at is the difference between the board and the highway commissioner, right? What the law says is the highway commissioner determines policy for the road district, right? So if it's a policy determination, that would be the road district. The board has a duty to audit, right, to make sure that it's within the proper auspices of what the road district controls, that the service spreader, that the good was provided, right, that the cost is actually what it costs.
Right, but aren't all of these things kind of in a gray area outside of what the road district does? I mean, this is brand new. We don't have an EV charging stations. We don't, I think it's a great idea. I'm just concerned based on what my experiences are, that there is no intergovernmental agreement. Money is it's being asked to be authorized to spend on something that isn't fully planned out, and that's my concern. It sounds like it's a lot of money. And so my question is, if it gets authorized, so you're saying if it's authorized, he can spend it this year, in this fiscal year?
Right, yeah, if the budget is approved, but I think, the idea is, it stems from a purchase of a vehicle, right? And that's part of the road district to purchase vehicles, right? And then it's got to charge, if it gets electric vehicles, it's got to charge those vehicles. So I think the commissioner's idea is, right, how can we defray the costs through intergovernmental agreements?
But the vehicles aren't going to be purchased for another 2 years.
Sure, right, but I mean, you plan for that, right? You can plan for that in this budget or the next budget through capital plan.
Right, but by the time and again, I'm not asking me to micromanage, but just by the time that happens, there might be other municipalities that could either share the location, share the cost. That's all I'm asking, is to look at the bigger picture. The road district is relatively small. And maybe compared to the municipalities that it serves.
That actually, if I may ask a question to help clarify some of this. So, yeah, you're asking to build the charging stations in this budget year.
If the
And-
grants are approved.
If the grants are approved. But you're budgeting for it, and I'm not saying anywhere where the grants are approved.
It says it in the detail.
Not in the budget, that if you're approving it, you're approving it. So. And then you're also then, from my understanding, banking on lots of grants from Illinois IEPA to help reimburse you for the purchase of the EV trucks.
Not reimbursed.
Not reimburse, what is it?
They will, we cannot make a purchase agreement on a vehicle, any EV vehicle, unless we have approval from IEPA to do so. We don't have that yet. We have conditional approval. They've said, yes, please go forward with your program. We think it's a good idea. But I don't have the actual grant documents in my hand yet, which also means I can't spend that money.
Right, so that was my other, because those grants are available until depleted. So,
The money that I have asked for has been set aside for this project. According to IEPA.
so with that, but you haven't applied for the grant.
I have.
Okay, so this is
And
kind of
in-
pretty
under,
much,
under strategic narrative, it specifically says $750,000 allocated for year 1 of 3. Electric vehicle fleet transition across programs, see supplement B. IEPA conditional grant approval received, $2 million and change. Grant covers 75% of the total program. District 3-year max is capped at $689,000, $691, potentially further offset by Illinois state and comment programs.
okay, so this is the first that we are hearing about this board, about this program. We haven't seen any agreements in grant documents. We haven't seen any, anything from comment about the conditional potential. For all I know, it's just be you sending, it could just be sending an email to comment and they say, sure, we'll look at it. There, maybe we can find something. So, we're asking to approve a large expenditure with a lot of ifs and maybes and buts that, that I don't understand. And what I also don't understand is you being the smallest, the road district, being the smallest unit of, public works in all this area, why do you think the Northfield Township Road District should be in charge of building a center of excellence? And how is that benefiting our unincorporated residents? The 23 miles of their roads for which you're responsible.
Good questions, and I'll tell you what I tell voters when I meet with them or with residents, for example, at the various stormwater project meetings that I have. I wake up in the morning and I determine how can I lower the levy. I really want to focus on lowering the levy and improving services for the road district. In fact, I have a levy request for this coming year with me to present to the clerk, which again will further lower the levy request. Solar, if we're able to add it to our roof, is 94% of our annual usage of electricity. The payback IRR on that is approximately 5.5 years. That's if we fund it with the 70% of the payment. And the Illinois Finance Authority has a grant authority to provide upgrades to buildings, including the envelope roof, walls, solar, vests. And they have expressed an interest in helping with this effort. So it's not one person with a vision. It's taking a lot of partners and a lot of different partners saying, we think that's a good idea. It sounds like a good idea. Now, this year, there's no spending for the Center of Excellence. In fact, it specifically says the restoring the EV programs is an effective zero net cost in FY 26-27.
So we
So
all
next year,
expect
certainly
that,
talking about
that is my point again. A lot of people think green energy is a good idea, electric vehicles are a good idea, solar roofs are a good idea. We actually looked into doing solar roofs on our roof here and decided that that wasn't a great idea for our needs and our usage. So that doesn't, I go back to my question, why you doing this does anything for this EV Center of Excellence? What does that do for our unincorporated
I
residents?
hope ultimately it will lower the tax base.
Is this a need or,
I think it's a vision.
okay,
We are going to convert our vehicles to electric vehicles. We have 5 vehicles that are in. They're cost.
how many vehicles does the road district have?
15.
Sorry, 15, okay, and you're converting 5 of them to. And then building charging stations for those,
There will be charging stations for those, yes.
instead of me, this is my opinion. I would not be looking into being the smallest of public works departments to building this myself. What I would look into is partnering and using other municipalities' charging stations and saving that money that I'll be using for building a charging station.
I can take that feedback. The other thing I will say is I did meet with United Underwriters Laboratory briefly. We have coming into our property 600 amps of power because it used to be a manufacturing facility with a 10-ton overhead crane. We use approximately 150 at the max amps of that power on a daily basis. If we can get to 94% of our usage through ComEd, through the solar, that means we have almost 600 amps of power. Underwriter Laboratories has requested to purchase our excess power for a fee, which could then be further used to lower the levy. So we're starting to think about what does a microgrid look in that area. Underwriters Laboratories with a desperately needed electrical connection to ComEd, which on their own, working with ComEd, is several millions of dollars to get done.
Okay, this has been just a comment. Is there anything in writing, any
Not-
agreements or anything like that?
That's why I didn't bring it up before now. This is a concept. But literally, we're talking about a conduit under things in the road.
It's going to be building that.
The conduit,
Yes.
I'm assuming Underwriters Laboratories. They want the power.
Two more questions would be nice.
Yes, please, go ahead. This is the part, yeah, this is when we discuss all of it.
Not to pile on Kingston Road, but I could have sworn we just repaid that, we did something big.
You go under, it would have no impact on the service.
So you would not be ripping off the road.
Absolutely not. It would be a sleeve going probably 20 feet down, straight through from our property to the UL property line.
Okay, so thank you for the budget, by the way, this is really helpful. So there's my understanding is there's a referendum on the ballot in November.
Correct.
Asking the voters, if they want to get rid of the road district and roll it in as a separate taxing entity, or not taxing entity, but wrong entity and roll it into the board. So again, I think that you're talking about doing some really interesting things. My concern is that these are pretty big visions when we don't know what the percent voters want. And so was there any thought as using this for that discussion? I mean, these are, you have a lot of big expenditures, significantly more expenditures. And I'm not saying the building doesn't need the money that you're putting into it, or that the employees don't need a 20% salary bump.
I need to clarify that. That's not what that says. It's a 20% increase, but it's not in salaries.
What is it in that?
So we reach like 5 months or 6 months of billing in arrears for benefits that had not been charged in the last fiscal year. The 5 bills that we received are falling into this fiscal year because we paid them this month.
Did you have a surplus from that fiscal year?
We had a small one, yes.
But not the difference in the, what was,
We are down head count from where we were a year ago or 2 years ago. So I don't know what the exact true up is, but the on average, it's about net the same. We did have a pay increase for our team, but it was in the low single digits.
is that footnoted anywhere? I just looking at that line item, it's over a 20% increase, so. It says, I mean, there's a line item for health insurance. What other, you said this was other benefits.
Yeah. Sam, do you want to?
'Road district,
The township invoices the road district for reimbursement. Now, as highway commissioner noted, the township is behind billing. There's quite a bit of outstanding balance that the road district owes the township. Some of those share expenses are salaries, health insurance. There's general insurance. From the township officials for Building and Land Risk Management Association. There was also computer support, the shared expense, and a few other smaller items, accounting services, audit, that are still yet to be trued up from the road district to the township.
So I should mention, my team, meaning Wally and, Wally really came to me and said, hey, we're still deficient in this area, and rather than run a deficit on that line, we want to add money, Dorothy, sorry, I was thinking about Dorothy. But we want to add money to that line to make sure that whenever those bills do come true and forward, that we're able to pay them without going into a deficit situation. So we did add approximately $100,000, maybe more, into that line to cover those expenses.
And I see a lot of money for communications, recycling promotion, 15,000, website newsletter, 40,000, so. Like to believe that. I guess the unincorporated parts. I know Glenview has a recycling program. I don't know if Northfield does. I know Northport doesn't. So. Again, I guess my question more is in the line of scope.
Okay, so we have a very large comprehensive recycling program that serves all residents of Northfield Township, Glenview, Northfield, and unincorporated. It does not discriminate. Because half of the levy that goes into an individual property owner's home comes to the road district. Half goes to the village, half comes to the road district. That's an example. This past year was a percent, but that comes to the. Now, I didn't. Very robust recycling program. Two components of that. One is paint. We accept a lot of paint. And the governor recently passed a law that said that we should do more to recycle paint. So at points of sale locations like J.C. Licht or Sherwin-Williams, those locations are required to take back paint that was purchased. In fact, we now paint so that the retailers can take that paint back. Likewise, we are currently spending on the order of $30,000 to $50,000 a year to have our paint carted off. Paint cares program.
In the township,
The road district.
under the road.
The paint cares program will cover that entire cost. So that's another $30,000 potentially saved. And the other program that's coming about, and it's coming about very fast, again, the governor passed a law on batteries. So everything from vape pens to electric bikes to hoverboards to anything you can name. The rules and regulations around battery management are becoming much more stringent. And for example, alkaline batteries are not supposed to go in the trash. We can take them, and we have facilities in process for neutralizing those so that they can be reset. And again, we spend about $300. I think it's $300 for, I don't know, 100 pounds for batteries to be recycled.
Was the recycling for sure sent this year?
Not yet. That's what I'm waiting for the paint care program.
And the,
We've not had anybody not come to us. People know where
people
we
have been
are.
asking the township office
Send them to us.
many times about it because they all expect it.
I guess that's, again, as far as what, and I'm a big believer of like intergovernmental agreements and working together. So besides the unincorporated people who get newsletter from Northbrook, Glenview, or Northfield, isn't there a way to lower some of the cost of this outreach to work with the municipal partners that you serve?
I'm happy to do that. I don't get a sense from them that they seem very, very busy. just as an example, the Village of Glenview put something in one of their early newsletters this year that I had no approval for. And it specifically referenced Northfield Township Road District. And I specifically went back to David and said, why was this placed in the monthly or the board meeting communications? And I wasn't consulted, and I never got a response back. I mean, I'm one guy running that township road district. I don't have staff with social media people and communications people. It's me.
Right, but I just think that there's an option for them to do some of that.
If I can find efficiency and partner with it, I'm absolutely willing to do it. We have IGA for the Village of Glenview, so it's no problem.
And then what are your thoughts, again, I might have missed it, about waiting for some of these bigger dream, vision things until the referendum passes or doesn't,
I can't speak to the referendum.
but you know
I
it
should.
exists.
Yeah, I know it exists, but without consultation. I found out the morning of the vote that it was happening.
Right, but at this point, it's on the ballot, so my question
I
is,
can't stop working because it's on the ballot. I can't stop recycling. I can't stop operating the road district. I can't stop any of these things. And frankly, none of the money that we're talking about for the EV Center of Excellence would be spent before that date. None of it,
Will be spent before what date?
the referendum.
Referendum passing or going to the flag?
Those are two very different things.
That's what I'm asking.
That's in 2029.
You're saying nothing with the,
None of what's in this. And we would have to take a pause if it was going to be spent after the referendum. But that would be in my role as the highway commissioner, which I will maintain authority over that budget and process through third Monday of May in 2029.
okay, so what you're saying is, just to paraphrase, the referendum is on the ballot in November 2026. Nothing will be spent for the EV before then. And if the referendum passes, you have to reevaluate whether it makes sense to go forward with it.
Correct.
Okay.
okay, but agreeing to evaluate and still giving, if the budget is passed, the legal authority is there for you to spend it. So you saying you will or not, it's not a legal requirement. So my concern as a taxpayer is how to be cognizant of the fact that taxpayers are having a say in the direction of the road district for the first time ever. And if they say, yes, we want to reevaluate, how does that then legally go into effect?
I don't know. And there have been previous referendums to consolidate the township road district. 10 years, 15 years. Under my second predecessor, 2010.
Can I ask a question specific to the contractual services? You mentioned a couple of them.
Is this in the public forum?
We haven't closed the public work.
Yeah.
No, I just said, I don't know if it should be in public or public.
The
I
public
think it's
is
all,
everything.
you mentioned a couple of them, the postage, communications. There's also $35,000 for training. Okay. Can you speak more to what that's doing?
Just as an example, we are looking to train 2 of our team members on, on herbicide application processes through the state of Illinois to help with, abatement of noxious weeds such as, buckthorn and others. There's a spend in there for me to attend a class at Northwestern on AI and digital training. I have found using AI has greatly benefited me in terms of the services I can offer our community without spending on talent to do so. And I believe that taking this course or a course similar to this would enable me to expand that capability with other highway commissioners, of which there are almost 1,500 across the state of Illinois.
And how much is that course?
I think it's in the 20,000, 29,000, I think.
So you're already planning spending $29,000, almost $30,000 on one training course,
Correct.
which is the entirety of this budget.
35, not
Once.
most, yeah.
Is that the best way to gain that knowledge? It's $30,000 training group?
I think the thing that I think about is it, and I know there's some questions on this. I would say that the trustees and the supervisor are not allowed by law, as I understand it, to substitute your judgment for my judgment.
I'm just asking the question. Is it the best way to gain
I think-
$29,000
I think it is.
in training?
I'm sorry, you just mentioned you wanted to help lower the levy.
I,
And you think $28,000 on a Kellogg Gourmet Senior Management and AI Training Service is the best use of taxpayer dollars and provides very valuable service?
I think the voters will have a chance to weigh in on that. That's the levy request for next year.
I prefer not to be looking at that during meetings.
That's all.
So just a couple of other context points, you know, the whole training budget for all of the township staff this year is what, 6,000, 5,000? 4. So for all of our full-time staff, your budget, you're asking for a multiple of that. You weren't at the last month's meeting, when we discussed the AI course. I did do a little research. I know what that course is about. It's not aimed at government officials. It's not aimed at nonprofits. It's aimed at chief marketing officers, chief revenue officers. You are not either of those. It's $28,000, not only a lot of money, but it's a big time sink. I think we are all of the opinion that it's not relevant to your job.
Okay, I'll take that feedback.
Well, that's right. There's gonna be an issue around this because it's not necessary. It really is not necessary.
No, you, please show us how this is relevant to what you do as road district commissioner for 23 miles unincorporated roads in Northfield Township. You're asking us, 5 people on this board, to approve $28,000 that we think, based on all the evidence we've seen, that is absolutely unnecessary and unneeded. And it is within our authority not to approve something that's irrelevant to your budget, relevant to your role, and unnecessary.
I would defer to council on that.
I mean, it's, you can disagree, right? And if you wanna disapprove the training line item, you can do that. I mean, I think that if you're asking my opinion, I mean, I think he's looking to increase the efficiency of his office through the use of AI. I think that's well within his authority. And, you know, I mean, ultimately, Rebecca, I don't know what'll happen, but
Does it $28,000 necessary for that from Kellogg of all places?
I
That,
think whether it's necessary or not, respectfully, is the highway commissioner's determination.
right,
And
and
that's what,
respectfully, I am having, we, the board, are having to approve this. And we, the board, think the highway commissioner could achieve the same training related to his job and efficiencies and AI, probably from something free, probably from a course much cheaper than 28,000, that's not taught by Kellogg Northwestern University, that may be taught at a public university. That all of us here are professionals and all of us use AI, and none of us have felt it necessary to spend that much money to be able to do our jobs better. We found plenty of free training. So this gets to the necessity of it. And I wonder if you'd be willing to reduce that line item to 7,000 for staff and for a cheaper course for yourself, and not the 35,000.
I'm not sure necessity plays into.
Go ahead. Attorney Steckler.
I'll just the board and I guess the public to know, but what the law and standard is here. And the highway code says in relevant part that the township board or the highway board of trustees.
Speak louder, please.
The township board of trustees or the highway board of trustees, if there was one, as the case may be, at the public hearing, shall adopt the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance of the road district or any part as the board of trustees deems necessary. So there's the most recent case that's an appellate court. These issues have been heavily litigated, but with no binding actual precedent. which is great. But the most recent appellate court ruling that I'm aware of explained, that the township board basically has three options. You can accept the budget as presented from the road district, you can reject the budget outright, or you can accept a part of the budget, basically, saying we're accepting X, Y, and Z, we're accepting everything except for, whatever line item. You can't go through and change line item. So if the highway commissioner won't agree to change a line item, then you have three options.
That would mean rejecting that single line item wholesale.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, it'd be zero.
That's why I was hoping to avoid that by asking if you would consider reducing that to 7,000.
I'll take it under advisement, but I'm not gonna make that decision now.
On the rest of that.
I do have a question, and I don't know if it came up last time. Did you consider any other options other than the Kellogg program for the AI and course?
I have not had a chance yet because I was out of the country to answer trustee Spears' inquiry about that exactly, but that will be a focus after this budget meeting.
The other, and so I guess the follow-up to that is the township officials of Illinois has a, I don't know if you're aware, they have an AI in township government. So that's in Springfield.
July 9th.
Yeah, I think that would be,
Directly
I
relevant.
think that would be a good program.
I'm already booked for that. So.
Can I ask about a different contractual service? We're talking about the training one, so it's determined that you're able to reduce that line item, and we can decide whether to approve or reject that line item in the budget. You're not gonna do it now. Next one I'd look at would be the legal services. Your budget is calling for $100,000, which you say is not as big of an increase as we might think, because the last year's actuals reflected a lighter council year. Last year's actuals reflected $47,190, which was an increase from $100,000 more than is necessary.
As I've spent time in this role, I've had to inquire, I would say probably far more than either of my predecessors did on other aspects of road district business, not including the entirety of the road district business. If we do the road of IBAs with other municipalities, those will have to be reviewed. If we work on KPV, the grant process, those will have to be reviewed, and potentially we have to bring on the council or someone to manage that grant process, because I don't have the background or the bandwidth to do so. So it was just a cautious number based on interactions with this board and with interactions with a variety of partners outside of this this board. As an example, if UL really is serious about purchasing excess power from Northfield Township Road District, that's going to require a great deal of negotiation with ComEd, not to mention UL and probably other partners like the ICC. I'd rather be under than over whatever number I put in.
Okay, so you think 100 is more than you would necessarily need?
Yes.
But just to go with your explanation, it's not that $47,000 was a light there, it's light compared to what you anticipate going forward.
Yeah.
It was still almost 10 times what it was the year before.
I don't think the year before was a fair assessment.
Well, it was 14,000 the year before that, so it's still
Even still.
multiples higher.
I mean, I think we can agree things have gotten quite adversarial, which required a lot more litigation support.
Okay.
Are you involved in the litigation?
I'm talking about with this group.
Are you involved with litigation?
Just in just consultations with council have required more time than I would have anticipated, especially following the May 12th meeting.
Well, actually, that brings up a good point. Because the reason for that has been because you have either not followed the rule of the law, not followed township code, and that's wasn't the That's been the reason mostly, besides other issues. So one thing I'd like to bring up, you're talking about spending $1 million on the building. Have you looked into whether, and this is just this year. Have you considered whether this building is worth the expenditure? Whether your predecessor did this, whether it makes sense for the road district to have a multi-story building that's falling apart when you may only need a couple of offices and parking area to structure to do the recycling, the snow plowing, the servicing of the cars, and the parking of the cars.
I have. So that building that in 2018, that cost approximately $300,000 to purchase after the Lehigh Avenue property was sold. And probably after, I would say after June, when I got the report from the inspector on the amount of money that was probably going to be needed to get that, and I briefed this through. I made the report part of the minutes. I did evaluate with council and with some external real estate folks about options. I even contacted the village of Glenview about the property at the corner of Kingston and West Lake. Could there be a potential to add a garage there? I spoke with NIPSTA about the potential to add a garage there. The biggest sticking point is we actually need a physical roof. We need a garage. That's required in the law, in the highway code. Vehicles have to be protected. So I need enough, and right now we're basically full. Could we do it with less square feet space? Probably, maybe 10,000 square feet instead of 15. So I had to evaluate that with the possibility of selling power either on the open market with the excess power that we have available to us, if we had solar, if we had BESS, if we had a natural gas generator, and net, it's a much better solution to retrofit the building if we can save it and then turn it into a revenue generator for the taxpayers.
Again, we're spending a lot of money in the hope and vision of everything working out well for you to do all these projects.
I disagree. The roof has to be done. And there's enough in the inspection report, forgetting the EV Center of Excellence. There's enough in that.
No, I'm talking about the repairs that you're proposing to do. Is it worth saving the building?
I have not found an alternative. And I have looked. That is reasonably priced, that we could afford. It would be less than.
Less than the $1 million of repairs.
Let
no,
me do
less
the
than
first
probably
year.
several.
How much is this building worth?
I haven't done it.
It can't be more than $3 million.
I'm asking, I don't know.
I mean, the building itself.
I haven't run the comps. I was just wondering if.
No, I was just hoping that you would really look into that because it is $3 million is a lot to spend on a building. You may even be able, for your needs, to be able to build something for a whole new, for less than that, then try to throw good money
The
into
problem is the
that.
building problem. Not a lot of land in Northfield Township.
No, I'm talking about where you are now,
Oh,
spending the
taking
money
that
on
building
this
now?
particular building, because that's what I mean, like throwing good money after bad. And I would really hope that going forward, because this hasn't happened in the past, and we've had issues where you haven't, put, the expenditures, construction into a bid process, that you follow that. $1 million is a lot, that you follow the township code and the Illinois law about what needs to go out to bid. You
I
also.
am committed to doing so.
Thank you, appreciate it. And you also mentioned something about, district, that vendor selection contract awards are subject to the district's standard procurement procedures. Where are those policies and procedures?
We're in the process of evaluating with council, all of our policies and procedures, of which there are many and many missing. And as soon as those are available, they'll be posted on our website.
Is that happening? Because we have had this discussion for a year about policies and procedures.
And we've been discussing the credit card for a year.
I mean, I do believe that there was a policy as far as bill payment was transmitted and put into effect, if that's what you're talking
No, not bill payment, just policies and
about.
procedures.
Procurement, it did include procurement in that policy, it was a spending policy.
Okay,
That was part of the policy that was
thank you.
circulated.
Credit card has been hasn't it?
What's that?
The credit card is up and running, correct?
It is not.
No, it's, that's another issue, at the last board meeting, you recall, the Procore
Right.
that the Commissioner Corpay has set up, Corpay, oh, I'm sorry. And,
Right.
spent $31,000.
Yes.
But the original request for the Northfield Bank and Trust card has not been.
What is the delay right?
I keep asking, but I keep getting the runaround.
The letter was
But
sent.
you got Corpay instead.
The,
One doesn't negate the other.
Why would you need so much line of credit?
If you're telling me that we're not going to pursue the Northfield Bank and Trust, that's important for me.
Well, I would like to know what's going on with Corpay, because you approved $31,000 without, and I hope your council has talked to you about that, without prior board approval against the Illinois Law and Township Code.
I would defer to council on whether that is the case.
it is, you may not spend money without board approval.
That's the whole purpose of the board.
I mean, that's, I would imagine your council would, that's pretty clear. But back to
Let's hear from the council.
So I'm not sure the full mechanics of the Corpay process, I'm happy to take a look at that and give an opinion. I mean, there's certain exceptions to the audit and, approval, procedure, but I'm not sure if this board has passed a policy on that or not.
Can you name what the exceptions are?
Yeah, there's a whole host of them. There's compensation, general assistance, and the board's allowed to set a policy on what those to advance to prepay bills. It is the only unit of government in the state of Illinois, perhaps in the country, where there's that audit process. There's, I mean, it's a process that comes.
Right, regardless, I'm just trying to
Yeah, I
stay
mean,
focused on the fact that there was.
Well, I'm answering it, right? It's the answer.
I was just asking what the exceptions are.
Yeah, I'm answering that question.
Right,
Thank you.
yeah, got it.
So the answer is whatever the board decides, and including to a list of statutory things.
Correct. Back to the credit card, I do just want to note, and I'd like Attorney Seckler to confirm, the letter was sent to the bank a while ago. So I just, for the record, it's important, the facts are important, I just want to be very clear that that letter was sent.
And just to be clear, I've not been given authorization from Jeff, the banker.
Okay, I just wanted to clear up for the record, because there was a kind of between the lines allusion that the board was holding that up, and that's not the case.
Yeah, I just have, this is public comment for the budget, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I guess I'm totally confused going back and forth between everybody and your his attorney
Right.
and he's their attorney.
Right.
And I am paying for both as a taxpayer, which I realize you may not care about because you said you don't care that there's oversight, but I, as a taxpayer,
I didn't say that.
somebody in this part of the room said that they don't have the authority to oversight, and I will tell you, as a taxpayer, I want somebody to have oversight. Like, because there aren't a lot of taxpayers around here for a budget session. And I think it's really important that other elected officials are overseeing a budget that is gonna grow 2 times in 1 year. So all I'm saying is, this is really dysfunctional. And it's very disturbing as a taxpayer. And I would hope that it somehow gets fixed because voters are paying for this when it could all be rolled up and have one board run the whole thing, where there is accountability. It sounds right now that there isn't any, and that as a taxpayer is very disturbing to me, and that's the end of my public comment. You guys can get back, but it's really disappointing.
The comments about the budget.
Question. And I'm probably, I looked at it a couple times. I think I'm trying to understand how much allocated to the EV Center of Excellence, and what's the dollar amount allocated to the building improvements for the reserve study or inspection?
There's no money going this fiscal year, 26-27-0. There is a potential to spend, if a grant is approved from the IEPA, to spend for charters. It's possible, maybe even probable, that that wouldn't even happen until the next budget. In terms of the $1 million for the facility repairs, that is for the roof primarily, because we have a lot of water infiltration into the building, which is impacting the 600 amp service, as well as we've had both fire marshal and chief electrician come out from the village of Northbrook. They both have recommended significant improvements to make sure the building is safe. And then the fire alarm essentially has been non-functional and is now being redesigned and added to the building. Burglar has been added, and we're going to be adding cameras as well to protect the assets of the road district. So the $1 million is intended for facility upgrades specifically, not an effort to lower utility costs, to ideally pass that savings on to taxpayers.
And that's within the solar would be, you're saying is within the $1 million budget.
Depends. Loan to be able to get those facility improvements spread out over a number of years. ComEd will certainly is certainly willing to pay some of the cost of solar and EV. I mentioned there are 50% for solar installations this year. So is it possible that design would come from that $1 million? Absolutely. But right now the focus is getting the roof ready for
Was there a reserve study for your build for the road district building?
only the inspection.
Only the inspection, and then the inspection. And yet again, I don't remember, did it have potential costs associated with each improvement?
It didn't.
And then what are the reserves currently and what will they be after the budget?
Let's see.
I'm looking to.
The right now the fund balance, the opening fund balance was $5,973,640. The projected fund balance will be $4,340,713, which is more than 3 years of expenditure.
So then
Spending down approximately $1.632 million, which is not much different from what this board did for their first year when they took office back 5 years ago.
so it's 1.6 million change in reserves, net, decrease to reserves. Mostly driven by building,
Building the roads.
mostly by the building. The $1 million out of the 1.7 is for the building.
You can split the pie how you want.
No,
$1 million for roads and there's $1 million for building.
We have, all right, 1.7.
As of my last check, which was a few weeks ago, we have about $8.9 million either in the bank or receivable from Cook County.
So then, and then the next question is, if in theory, is the EMV charging infrastructure may or may not happen? So if that would be removed, the reserves, the net reserves would increase.
Well, if two things happen, one, it doesn't happen at all. Or two, ComEd comes in on the backside and, follows through on their desire to pay for that cost.
Correct.
Would then be a $0.
Correct. So actually it wouldn't change because what you're saying, just so I'm reading it right, you're saying that $337,500 would not be into the revenue from the 75% reimbursement, right?
I'm not sure where you're looking. I'd have to.
I'm on the budget detail. I see 337,500 in the revenue section. IEPA reimbursement, cleaner Illinois, right? Illinois.
Yeah, that would be the 75%. EV chargers.
Right, so then I think the reserve, if you didn't do that $450,000 project, because you would not get 450,000 revenue, then you wouldn't have 450,000 expense, so it'd be net zero. So there wouldn't be a change, because my question was, if we removed 450, would the reserve go up? But I don't think it would.
No, it's supposed to be net.
It would be zero.
Zero, yeah.
I think that's important. That was important for me to understand, so thank you. So now I have a question, because I don't know the answer, obviously, but how is there, I guess, a safeguard saying if Illinois doesn't, where if the IEPA does not reimburse, ComEd does not reimburse or provide the benefit, the 100% of the 450, is there a way we could say, if no revenue from them, then no expense? Is there a way to approve that?
I will not place an order without IEPA's express grant approval.
Understood. And it's a personal problem. Like, I'm very black and white. So when I see it on the budget, I'm like, okay, well, it's on the budget. So I guess from a, it's like, how do we put that in the budget, like an asterisk next to it if we can, right? With a foot, I don't know if we're allowed to do that. I guess that's my legal question to the attorney. I don't know the answer. Because it'd be not, like, if we could put that, like, I feel a lot more comfortable with that.
I don't think it would do much. If it's in the line item for that amount, ultimately, I do think there was footnotes provided in not the actual ordinance. I don't know if they'd have any legal effect to stop it, but if you really wanted to spend without the grant, we actually wanted to do it. But
So
I think that's your concern.
yeah, I guess it's just saying, you know, hey, is this, you know, like, what are the, like, again, I always think about succession planning, right? If you're hit by a bus, God forbid, right? And somebody else comes in and says, you know what, I'm spending this 450, right? Like, how do I, because I know on record you're saying, I'm not gonna do that. I believe that. I do. I'm more thinking about just the irrational thought of like, what if?
There's a lot of line items you could do that with.
I understand that. I guess that's my question. And maybe not for you guys, for the attorneys too. I don't know.
It's just this particular line item depends on a lot of
There's-
ifs and maybes, and if this comes through, that can happen, if that will happen.
I have an email from IEPA saying we are going to do this project. We are now in the process of finalizing the grant. And if you'd like to see the emails, I'm happy to share.
We would,
Sure.
yeah, because, you know, it's big expenditure.
I'm not making it up.
Just-
I mean, this is.
No, I understand. It's just that when it just gets presented to us to prove without any precedence, without us having been in any way informed about all the processes that have been going on in the background to get us to this point, it makes it very difficult for us to just, yeah, approve.
I'd just like to know that the better version of succession planning is winning the lottery.
Agreed. I apologize.
If I could add a couple of notes, if you wouldn't mind. I did make a change for this budget year to add the motor fuel tax fund balance into the budget. It has not previously been documented as a budgeted item. There's approximately 400. As of March 31st, 2027, there'll be $443,263.63 in that fund. It's typically, when it's been spent, it's been recognized as grant income. That's technically incorrect. It will be recognized, it will be recorded as a current asset on the balance sheet under a new account saying due from Cook County -MFT, recognized as income when allotments accrue approximately $36,000 annually rather than when drawn, and classified as a restricted fund balance distinct from unassigned reserves. So you will see a $400,000 net increase to the overall budget for funds that, in my view, you should have had visibility to before now. That's a change that I made.
The contract payment line item consulting for the 383,500. What's that's up from 32,000, 33,000. What is that for again?
It's for a couple of different things that we're thinking about, especially as we look to expand our recycling center conversation around both the battery network and paint cares. I'm also talking with a couple of individuals about helping to, again, I don't have social media people, I don't have staff for that. So talking to some consultants about providing those types of services. And a grant manager for it if we end up getting, which if we don't get the funds from IPA, we won't need the grant manager.
In here, I was just looking.
There was also a lot more detail in the document you received 3 weeks ago.
No, I'm looking at the memorandum. On the responses. Yeah, I didn't know, okay, yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, so it's for the grant manager potentially using third parties to help with, say reminding.
Administration of the grant. It's quite a burdensome administration process because the money's actually coming from the federal government through IEPA, through the Drive Cleaner Illinois program, which is Volkswagen had a major, problem with diesel vehicles and with odometer stuff or wheel size or whatever. So there's been 9 rounds of Volkswagen funding that have come to the states. This is the 9th round, and that's where these 5 vehicles are being funded from.
Got it. So not a net zero because we do it, the road district will have to pay for somebody to manage the grant.
Correct, okay, fair, but only if we get the.
If you get it. Okay. Okay. All right, thanks.
Ross, could you read for me again that necessary wording you read earlier? I just want to hear it again.
Sure. The Township Board of Trustees or Highway Board of Trustees, as the case may be, at the public hearing shall adopt the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance or any part as the Board of Trustees deems necessary.
Any part of the, okay,
That's section 6-501 of the Highway Code.
got it. So our judgment only comes down to whether we deem that necessary for the operations of the road district, correct?
Deems necessary, yes.
Okay. And then just following that through, because it sounds like, at least for the education line item, I don't think we're going to approve that. We're going to deem that not necessary. If that happens, and then what's the next step? So let's say Mike does make the choice to say, okay, I'm not going to do that expensive course, but I want to keep the 7K budget for my team. Does he provide a revised budget? How do we get that back on there later? What are the next steps beyond that?
Yeah, if the highway commissioner agrees to change it and he's presenting you with a modified tentative budget, that can be approved as modified. With his consent. You can't do your own changes,
Right.
other than saying no.
Right, so we're all or nothing, but he can propose a new number and then we can approve that. And what are the timelines
Just
on that?
that needs to be within this meeting.
That needs to be today.
Correct.
And if we don't approve today, it's 0 for the year.
Well, there is we did it just to, for
For open meetings act purposes, again, Highway Commission would have to agree, there is in the board packet on the agenda, a possibility of a continuing ordinance, which is just adopting or allowing the existing budget for this fiscal year to serve on an interim basis moving forward, until a final budget is agreed to and approved. We put it in here just to, again, for open meetings act purposes as an option to adopt during the hearing, and but the Highway Commission would have to consent to that as well. Got it, okay. So yeah, in terms of, I'd like to speak a little bit to that line. Like, my current title is CIO. I'm at a company where we're doing AI all day long, all the time. And if one of my team members said to me, I want to take a 28K course, I think it's gonna be good for the company, I would laugh him out of the room. Because the cutting edge of AI is out there, but you gotta go find it. You're not gonna find it in a class. Not gonna find for essentially nothing, very low cost. And with that, with the background I have in that and the way I'm using it day to day, I can say that with a lot of confidence. So I'd like you to reconsider that expense because I don't think it's necessary at all. And I'm
I think trustee Spears already expressed her opinion on that.
But specifically about the training,
Correct.
right, I mean, I would not. It sort of reflects more what staffing is more than adequate.
Trustee Alpine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, especially with all the other courses out there too, I do think that seems high. The budget testing.
Trustee Shaw.
I agree.
With,
The sentiments of the board. I think we're all in agreement. I think the question is, are you willing to reduce the budget line item? This time. Well, then we need to decide whether we can pass the budget or not.
Or zero out the line.
Or zero out the entire line. Or would you consent to the journey, the continuing the budget as we have currently?
I have to consult with council privately, make that determination.
would you like a 5-minute?
Okay, is that okay with you?
We can do that.
Thank you, Dave. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
This is just like. That's it.
Yeah, no, Friday,
That's a I like the whole idea of. I'm nervous about like the attention. Yeah. Thing which I think will build a project.
Correct. I mean, you know,
Like you were saying, I'm this guy. I'm one guy. He's one guy. So they're.
I like so.
Just said like this.
Oh, we're not doing it.
I don't hear you saying about like. 1%, 5 million years. That makes sense.
I actually learned that with this. Natural teacher. You know, I don't know enough about it. I don't know.
7.8.
Yeah.
To say.
You look at the total appropriation.
Not get the.
That's why I just calculated too. The understand is an additional.
That's also.
Just.
It's
Which just after.
There's all.
Just revise the budget.
If they're to do that,
Which
but
actually. Should I notice that? There's like a big size paper.
it's sort of.
That's.
Yeah, I don't. You guys bring it out. And you check.
Yeah.
And you.
My parent.
Yeah.
We're in the meeting. everyone's available.
So
Okay.
agenda with board meeting, every,
Yes.
with attachments and ordinances. And there was also the spreadsheet. The ordinances are not matching spreadsheets. Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
hold
Clerk, please, clerk.
It's not the ordinance. It's the proposed budget that trues up all of it.
Was it in the work?
It was a joint venture.
Okay, so this is. Was the,
There are 5 documents.
no, there was the, sorry, it was my words, the ordinance,
Sam?
the
Yes.
spreadsheet,
This is a
the response to the board. Which one is this? None of those
the
three.
spreadsheet.
This is the spreadsheet?
There were actually 2, but yes, that's.
Okay.
So yeah, I think there was, and I'm sorry, so I think there's multiple tabs.
It's where on.
Okay, well, we can definitely fix that.
The ordinance we passed.
Let me know what the number, how far. off the
Which
number
one is the
I
most?
don't know, Sam was just.
Which one is the most? Which one is correct?
I would stick with the ordinance. I believe that has been checked by our accountant as the ordinance.
So the board should use the ordinance.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good question.
All right, so.
Okay. No, but I think the 8.8 is the total appropriation.
Right, no.
Their budget. Going to what's in the ordinance. Got it.
Okay. Presuming the Northfield Township. FY 26-27 budget hearing?
Question?
Yes.
I was talking to Clerk Chandler, I think I was going off of the spreadsheet that was sent. But I think there's a disconnect between the spreadsheet and what was in the board packet, right? Is that right?
The ordinance is the guy governing.
The ordinance, so I'm wondering where I didn't review that. I should have. I was just looking at the spreadsheet. I want to find what's the difference in dollar amount between the two?
I don't know, just brought my attention.
I think on page 32-9, we have general road fund, 7,843,550. And then the permanent road fund is 1 million. So total appropriations, $8,843,550.
What page is it?
32-9. Cover ordinance.
Appropriation, so it's. Maybe 43,550. Now, wait, so. That 8,800,350 matches what's in the. Board packet. And. This one, right?
It matches the ordinance.
Yes. So I think
What were the numbers?
The spreadsheet that I've got the last row, 94 has 8.843550.
Okay, so
There's no formulas there. Assuming that the formulas add up to that.
So I think it is correct, right?
That line is correct. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I believe it's the permanent road fund.
Okay,
That's $1 million.
that's,
Yeah.
great.
Okay,
so it does match?
It matches.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the,
so,
what's the answer?
did you have a chance?
Yes, so I think the commissioner is open to talking about it, but let's get through the rest and see if there's anything else before we respond. Is that okay?
Is there anything, any other, putting aside our judgment as to what some of these expenditures are and how we would not be doing it, but we can replace our judgment. For the road district, so besides the, 35,000 in training, are there any other items that the board needs to discuss?
I guess the only questions. I think we have. The permanent road fund maintenance service for asphalt for $1 million. I think those were the only. I had questions on, which you addressed the contractual services. The maintenance services for the asphalt. I think just making sure I understand, actually, can you elaborate on that one, the permanent road fund, maintenance services road, asphalt?
Yeah, so we've put $1 million, we deployed $1 million of the reserve fund into roadway maintenance. I've included in a previous communication a list of deficient roads within Northfield Township, of which there are, I believe, 27 are deficient, meaning they're rated a 1, 1.5, or 2 on a 5 scale. Specifically, we're focused on the area where we're working right now on the Citation Lake NWRD stormwater mitigation installation, which is approximately 30% completed, going from Beach Lane all the way up to Central and Garden. I should mention that the road district has been selected for phase 2 of that program to add even more capacity on the next roadway over for stormwater mitigation in that area. If you may, or that it's a 25-year program, and it goes north from where the first fault goes, with 9 more faults going north. So we're both looking at MWRD for funding as well as BRIC funding through IMEA through FEMA, which just recently reopened for applications. So we're trying to aggressively pursue that. So some of that money will be used specifically for resurfacing the entirety of those roads, specifically Central, Beach, and there's one in between. So that we're not just focused on patching the areas that have already been added, 36-inch pipe as an example, that we're going to give them a complete new roadway, possibly also Garden if we can do it. But then there are other areas that are deficient, and we're going to assess based on can we do them together, meaning by bid it together with a lower unit cost to get more work done through a contractor, or do we just focus on the worst roads and work our way up? So those, I think I wrote a note in there that those assessments will be made, that they've not been made as of yet.
Yeah, and so does that mean this part, that will be a portion of the 2.65 million from MWRD?
No.
Or is that from the beginning permanent road fund balance?
Yes, correct. Well, I mean, you can, wherever it comes from. It's not part of the MWRD project. The MWRD is a straight pass-through reimbursement from MWRD, and both sides of the transaction are captured in the budget. So that's a net zero. Same with the Sanders Road sidewalk and signalization project, $300,000.
So I'll share and this is, again, I don't understand, and so I'm not an attack, just question. The permanent road fund, like the beginning balance projected to be for 2026, 2027 of 702,605. The general road fund, I'm sorry, the permanent road fund for the projected ending balance is $102,605, right? So let's say 700 minus 100,000 is 600,000. But then I see the $1 million from the permanent road fund maintenance service road asphalt. So where does that $1 million come from?
So it comes from three sources. It comes from the permanent road fund.
Okay,
It comes from the MFT, motor fuel tax fund, which currently has a balance of approximately $418,000. And the balance would come from the road fund, meaning the main fund of the road district.
understood, okay. That's what was throwing me off when I read, when I was just reading permanent road fund.
It threw me off too, but
Okay.
I had it recalculated and that's how it laid out.
Okay, all right, good. All right, so yeah, because what I thought was, I thought maybe there was a miscalculation of like, where you only have 700,000, it's gonna show, you only have 700,000, but you're gonna spend $1 million, then the balance I would have thought would be negative 300,000. But what you're saying is this permanent road fund, yes, is coming from not only that 700,000 in the bank, but also two other sources.
Correct.
Okay,
Of which $420,000 is already in our bank with Cook County in a restricted fund.
The MFD.
MFT.
thank you.
You're asking also about the contract payment consulting, you're talking about that too.
Well, yeah, I think for me, again, it's like I would say the devil's in the detail, right? And so it'd be nice, I guess, for me, and I just don't remember reading this in the memo of the grant manager, or, I mean, I guess for me, it almost feels like a blank check. I know it's not, I get it. I'm just saying, I just feel like of that money, it'd be nice to see like, hey, we think of the 383, 100,000 would be spent on grant management, 100,000 would be spent on X, and 100,000 on Z, right? Like that.
I'd be checking though. I don't know what those costs are gonna be.
Where did that number come from? $383,500.
A combination of the work that we're doing with the stormwater program for Citation Lake, that money that is being spent at ERA, the Engineering Resources Associates, that money is over and above the grant money. That was what was agreed to in the IGA that was signed with MWRD back in 2022 or 3 by this board as well as by my predecessor. So we have to pay, I think this year we're paying on the order of $200,000 of that consulting bill is included in consulting. And there'll be more consulting fees required, for example, for phase 2, which MWRD has said we're at the top of the list for that as well. So it could be, it's engineers. We also need a structural engineer for our building. I'm working with council to find an engineer that can come in and do a structural analysis to make sure not only can we handle solar, but is the roof worth saving? Is the crane that's in there worth saving? One of the things that I've uncovered through this process is we've been woefully deficient as a road district in analyzing and allocating our assets. We don't have a good read on how much and how big the stormwater pipes are in the ground and what value they hold to the road district. One of the reasons why we're changing accounting firms is that we are, and GAB 106, I think, is coming out this year, is going to significantly change how we, as a road district government, allocate expenses especially for underground expenses, as well as the building, as well as the vehicles, which have not really had a depreciation process put to them. I have built a depreciation process for all of our vehicles that are over, I think it's $5,000 in value. And now we're going to be doing an inventory of the roads and all of those subsurface systems and what those values are, because that will drive replacement costs over the long haul, to your point, trustee Ottenheimer, about reserve study. These things are all being built, but they didn't exist a year ago.
So I think it's funny, your predecessor is probably rolling his eyes because I ask the same questions almost every budget time. But again, from contract payment and consulting, engineering is also a line item now. You have I think $150,000 in engineering already. So the contract payment consulting is separate from the engineering, right?
Possible.
So I guess when I combine that, right, we're looking at 50,000 prior year to 534,000 this year. That's a massive, massive increase. And so that I'm trying, and again, your predecessor is probably like, if you were listening, shaking his head. I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what's necessary, what's not, and like, I think and I know I know a budget is a guess, but is like, can there be more, I guess?
Specificity?
Yeah.
I probably in my notes somewhere have more specificity, but it wasn't required in the budget, so I didn't necessarily bring that.
The $1 million for the building, you have estimates for different things. Where did those estimates come from?
From, well, the roof estimate we don't have yet. We are waiting for that. Let me take that back. We have a very rough order magnitude roof assessment. And I should mention, anytime you use the word rough order magnitude, it can be plus or minus 50% in the construction world, in my world. So the number that's a placeholder for the roof is $300,000. But it could be 450, probably not much less.
200 office, EPD and roof replacement.
So that's over the offices, which also have a roof. So we've got three buildings kind of pieced together. Got the two-story building at the front with the offices and with Dorothy's office as well. That's Buell in the break room.
I'm talking about the 1 million here that you allocated. Or
Yeah,
just where did those numbers come from? That's all.
RS means what square footage is of the building, what the request is, what type of materials you're going to use, and it spits out a number. Again, rough order magnitude number.
Oh, I see. So many undetermined factors and you want to lower the levies. It's very, very interesting to see how this is all going.
So,
Yeah,
I'll just, I think my two concerns were just overall, when I think about necessity, of course, I know there's questions around how the road district put notes and says there won't be any EV spec. Credit, we'll feel better about that. I think it comes down, at least to me, is the contract payment and consulting. Because if we're excluding engineering, I wonder if you're excluding engineering, I wonder if you can take it down by 150,000, because there is a 150,000 item there. And then the training. And I think, I'm guessing, I'll ask, the travel, was that part of, for the training as well? The travel budget increase?
No, because it's mostly virtual and Northwestern campus.
so could you, because that was my question as well, would you please explain this $5,000 for travel expenses?
Just there was a catch-all number based on experience. The APWA conference this year is in Houston, the battery.
What is that one, APW?
American Public Works Association. It was in Chicago last year, so there was no expense.
I'll just say I've been in this position 5 years and I've not once had any reason to leave the state for my job to attend any conferences.
My business is different than your business.
No, it's not.
What? I don't drive to the
There's
APWA
nothing-
conferences.
Is it necessary to attend those?
That's a judgment of the highway commissioner.
It's also judgment of the board about the waste of high taxpayer dollars.
So okay, so I'm highlighting, so. I would say, I think with the engineering and everything Commissioner Corman has planned, I feel like. Again, I'm gonna go with his judgment on the engineering services line item of 150,000. I am asking if it's double counted in the contract payment and consulting. Because I know you mentioned engineering services when I asked about that, so I'm asking, is
They're,
there?
they're really different ones. They're not the same. Yes. Stories,
Yeah.
but I want you to keep in mind, we're having to pay for engineering services for the $50 million project on the south side of the township. We're gonna be taking possession of a 16-acre piece of land at the corner of D and Central. That is gonna require some level of engineering that the road district is going to have to pay for in advance. That's things like, fence management. MWRD doesn't have the staff necessarily to do those things. They may reimburse some things. But for example, that work is going to have to be done. That's what that's going to cost in terms of the engineering drawings. Now, fortunately, we've already got drawings available to us, but there's a lot of engineering that's going to have to go into that building in particular, but also there's going to be infrastructure. In fact, I would say that the $2 million expenditures are kind of tied to consultants. They kind of live together. Because in order to build the scope for $1 million of road work, I need to hire an engineer to build that scope and to set those roads and to give us low, medium, high on best management practice on what should be replaced. Or do we need to go and rebuild the road, which is the worst case scenario?
Okay, so that engineering services 532 is not related to the road district building.
I can't say I can divide that out.
Well, because one is in maintenance contractual services, the other is in administration contractual services.
So administration contractual services would be much more in the realm of ERA providing services for the Citation Lake project, the Northbrook West project.
If I can maybe be some clarification,
Please.
and I don't know what it is
Please, yeah.
splitting up between these budgets or line items, but generally when we talk about like engineering services, that's like doing the drawings, right? Or doing like the technical aspect of engineering,
Right,
where as specifically, I know I've been involved in lots of MWORD projects or shadow projects where they use engineers on a consulting basis, right, to plan, evaluate, and to kind of guide. So if that's the distinction, if there's an overlap because of that, there's such thing as consulting engineering services that are separate from the actual project design and like implementation aspects.
right.
That's,
Yeah,
now, if there's overlap or not is a question for him, but I think that's the.
well, that's what I thought I heard that there was no overlap and then I think there might be overlap. And when I see 55,000 go up to 535,000, 533,500, I'm trying to. I combined them, then I separated them, and then I was like, okay, if we separate them, one's for outside of the building, the road district building, okay, I'll separate it, I'm gonna trust that 150,000 is worth. But now it might be combined, and so I'm combining going from 54,000 to 533,500, which, okay, that is a large jump combined.
So it's $2 million in new work.
Hey, yeah, I just don't, yes, agreed. And on a percentage basis, I'm trying to understand what is allocated to that new work versus not. I'm trying, like, in the same thing I go with the predecessor and is trying to figure out necessity versus not without. I'm trying not to be so confused. I'm a little confused. And if anybody else on the board can help explain it to me, I would appreciate that because I feel like I'm the only one that's confused.
It sounds like you're just looking more for specifics, $383,500 for one line item of contract payment consulting under administrative.
Well, plus the 150.
There's no breakdown in the budget or actually in the response, and in the footnotes that list more specifically what that is.
I didn't see quotes, so I don't know.
You came up with that number from something. What were can you list out the numbers that add up to that from those different?
For like the, our project, the citation like.
Probably 120 right now.
And then there's another project that you said was
Also Citation Lake, that'll be another 150 probably.
So I think it'd be helpful to document those to give confidence that the number that you're asking us to approve is what we would consider necessary for our job.
I'm happy to do that. I can't do it.
Right, so, and I'm just doing quick math, so if it's 120,000 per citation, like another 150,000 for what?
For the second phase.
For the second phase. Of citations, okay, so that's 263,000,
Probably 150 for the building.
or I'm sorry, that's 270,000. So 263,000 left, and 150 for the building, give or take.
That's,
I don't think you said you were gonna take property. Some piece of property.
well, yeah, we're gonna be taking the 16 acre property at the corner of D and,
So that's the total of 420,000.
Then you talk about doing a road study, which would probably fall under consulting as well. That's like an evaluation with an engineering to say which order of roads do we need to. Right.
And guess on
Well,
that.
I mean, that's gonna find.
But I'm getting clarity.
I don't know.
Okay, okay, and so. And then if we say, okay, so Citation Lake Phase 1, Citation Lake Phase 2. 1, 2,
Federal Road, stormwater upgrade. Facility upgrade.
facility, storm. Okay, so that puts us in. And this is helpful, right? So of the 533,500, that puts us at.
Okay.
And I was trying to make sense of what was.
Pockets of money, $500,000, and there's no detail, and so we have to use this meeting to try and parse out, what these are for, and do the math. We're talking about some things that, are gonna result hopefully in, deliverables, schematics, plans or whatever. It'd be great to see those deliverables to make sure we get some value for. Facility survey and everything. First I ever heard of it, would love to see what that looked like, especially since we have all these, it was a $6,000 charge for survey, yeah. Big plan, or, constructing, this EV Center of Excellence or whatever.
It's really for the building, not for that.
Okay, but you know what? Since you weren't here, we couldn't. Yeah, that's the problem. We're using this meeting to connect the dots and do the math.
And we've connected a lot of dots since the last meeting.
I did my best to answer the questions that were provided.
Seems like there's some more questions
Yeah, I
that
think-
you have answered a lot. And as you said, you appreciated us asking those questions because you made a lot of changes to it after we asked those questions. So but there are additional questions.
So, and I just want to make sure, again, looking at the crosswalk tab, which again, helpful. The MWRD citation like 2.65 million plus DOTH Sanders Road 300,000 plus road improvement fund 300,000 plus normal operating of 185,000 equals a 3.4 million. None of that includes the engineering. That's in a separate line. That's separate. Okay. And that was, again, helpful to hear. Okay.
The budget is a little distended because it has, reimbursements, $3 million plus worth of reimbursements.
Totally. And agree.
And the $420,000 ad for the MFT, which was never captured before.
Okay. I think I was more focusing on the different buckets of the expenses and what is allocated where. And I didn't know if engineering services previously was allocated within the maintenance services road. The MWRD citation link within that $2.65 million. I thought it was. It sounds like it wasn't.
It's not. MWRD requires the municipality to pay for engineering services for projects that they reimburse.
They have their consultants, to be clear, what they require.
I'm less confused now.
Okay. I will just mention, for purpose of clarification, that the questions regarding the training, it was raised at previous board meeting and it was emailed to you by, Trustee Spears. And we did not approve that, and until further clarification was given, and now it's part of the budget, so. Besides the training,
The training and the contractual services that you're asking.
yes. Trustee Oppenheimer, are you okay with the contractual service? Do you have more clarification on that? It's all very general.
I
think we wanted to-
Anything could be brought into that line item.
I understand that. If we are, I mean, I took the notes. If we are saying it for Citation Lake, 1, 2 facilities, the 100 and Storm, like the 150 for facility. Yeah, of course.
Does that need to be documented after this or?
Well, and it sounds like it's hopefully in the meeting minutes. I can repeat it. Yeah,
Then it's just the training.
So just the training.
I'd like to go back to what Scott was saying before. We're all in agreement that a bunch of these things don't get paid unless you get the grants, right? There's like a whole bunch of if this, then that.
All of the EV stuff, yes.
Can we, since we're all on the same page here, can we put something in the budget to sort of document that and then we approve that? I know we're also mentioning earlier, the legal question, I don't know, but if both lawyers here agree, why don't we throw it in there and have some as amended wording and we can just, we're all on the same page anyway, let's put it in there.
Not sure we need to do much more than it's in the minutes. I won't spend money that I don't have authorization to spend from IEPA.
And I think he has to hit a footnote.
It's already in there? Okay, so we are approving something that already has this footnote in. Okay, yeah.
So all expressed our concerns and questions about different parts of the budget. And we, aside from the training, everything else, whether we personally agree with it as residents of the township or as trustees of this board, we don't have the authority to not approve it, despite our opinions about it. And waste of taxpayer dollars, inefficient, unnecessary. Well, unnecessary, we can agree to be still support. So aside from the training, is there anything else?
Nothing for me at this time with the contingency stated and the footnote stated.
Okay. Anyone else? Training?
So to make life easy, I would propose that we lower that amount to $12,000 just to cover. And if you all have suggestions on courses that either I or others that could take within our purview to be able to help, with this transformation process, I would certainly be welcome to it.
I would be okay with that. I still find 12,000 a huge amount, for training. And is it just most of it will be spent by you or will other staff?
Probably 50. But I don't have anything planned for the 12, other than the two gentlemen that I plan to get certified for pesticides. Certification this year.
Yeah.
Is the bill, or at least part of the bill for the Kellogg course was already in payables, unless I'm wrong. What is that?
I'll get it reversed.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Okay.
Lower amounts, so this is a lot, but I think it's fine.
I think we did our due diligence in asking the questions to try to get as much specificity as we could.
Yeah, fine.
Appreciate the flexibility.
Motion to adopt and approve Northfield Township Road District 26-2027 fiscal year combined budget and appropriation ordinance for the general road fund and permanent road fund.
With the,
Oh, with amendment to,
with the consented to amendments and changes as discussed at the public hearing, specifically that line item number 563, training would be reduced. The adjustments to the overall appropriations as necessary. Motion.
Second.
yes,
Supervisor Wilson.
yes.
Trustee Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Disagree, I'm gonna get our attorney out of here, so we're not being more billable.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Another meeting in Palatine, so you.
Yeah, I had a meeting, yes.
Thank you, everyone.
But thank you. Motion to hold a public forum on the 26-27 fiscal year budget and appropriation ordinance for the sanitary sewer fund.
Second.
So the only changes that we have there, since the last, since the draft budget, is we had our
Thanks.
pumps failing.
Sorry.
Thanks for the invite.
We have two failed pumps and which Wally spoke about at our sanitary sewer foreman at our May board meeting. So we've had to increase the capital projects budget line item from 300,000. We're sorry, the increase, so the lift station maintenance, we have to increase it from 65,000 to 200,000 because of the two failed pumps. And the capital projects, we're increasing it from 300,000 to 400,000 because unfortunately we have to purchase a new sewer truck. And just as point of clarification, the sewer fund. Point of clarification, this sewer fund is fee-based, it's not but it's not a levy fund. Any discussions? Not motion to adopt and approve 2026-2027 fiscal year budget and appropriation ordinance for the sanitary sewer fund.
Motion.
Second.
Supervisor Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Trustee Pace.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Spears.
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Now, please, the township board meeting. Move to approve and refund the civil engineering consultants Daniel Training Company for engineering services on a project to update the retaining walls and ramp on the west side of the township building at 2551 Keaton Road, Glenview, and authorize supervisor to enter into a contract with Daniel Training Company for this work with a contract amount not to exceed 13,400.
Motion.
Second.
So this is what we've talked about. They're gonna provide us a study. They will, once we go out to bid, they will manage. And I believe you have a copy of the contract, right? In the board packet.
Not in the board.
Oh, okay, sorry. They will manage the project, its place. It's virtually that ramp, we had to measure the decline and it's significantly lean more and more. The winter and possible collapse for the weight of the snow. Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Supervisor Mercer.
Any matters presented by the public? Adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 6:05.
I sent them a text. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
It's supposed 7 minutes to go to get 6, so. Right on.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's his. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Next month.